When it comes to deep-rooted behaviours, there are a variety of different ideas out there for what it takes to create sustainable change. Before we can step into any of these approaches specifically, it's important to understand that there is no single method that works for everyone. Even more important is the fact that any approach that's grounded in evidence-based research will have successful outcomes if the theories and implementation line up with what it is we believe we need, and therefore we actually do the work that's being asked of us to do to make the changes that we're trying to make. In other words, if we believe in what it is we're being asked to do, then there's a really good probability that we're actually going to do it. It's also true that across the board, all of these evidence-based approaches acknowledge one thing. Our emotional experiences have a significant impact on our behavioural responses. Emotions shape the things that we do, from those little routines that we fall into every single day, to our in-the-moment extreme and often chaotic reactions. Whether this is tied to an emotional experience that's currently present in our system, or if it's an avoidance tactic to get away from the possibility of an uncomfortable emotional experience we're expecting in the future, it's completely irrelevant. Our behaviours are usually triggered by a fear of a particular emotional experience that we're doing our best to avoid in some way or another. I truly believe that all of our adult behaviours are shaped by our childhood experiences and the stories that we created during that impressionable time of life. So it makes sense that at some point we have to go to work on changing the perception these experiences gave us about ourselves, other people, and basically life itself. However, before we get into this deeply emotional work, we have to start by building a solid foundation that's grounded in the skills of dialectical behaviour therapy to set us up for successful implementation of what it is that we're trying to achieve. Once this foundation is in place, we can actually step into the emotional work of re-educating our system away from the rigidity that's attached to our childhood schema. We do this by combining the skills of dialectical behaviour therapy with the theories of schema therapy and its multiplistic personality approach to build a deeper understanding for why we do what we do. For me, this work actually started by understanding the skills of rational emotive behaviour therapy, which introduced me to the fundamental principle of unconditional self-acceptance, unconditional acceptance of others, and unconditional acceptance of the way life is. Accepting myself means accepting each and every part of my personality as an important part of who I am, so it makes sense to begin our understanding of the work from this basic cognitive approach. At the same time, we have to be aware that while cognitive work is an essential part of building our foundation, it falls flat on its face when emotions get involved. Emotions actually change the way we respond at a biological level, and each emotion serves a purpose in our system. From a DBT perspective, we have to develop our awareness for what each emotion does so we can tolerate the distress that they bring into our system. This is why the mindfulness skills of DBT open the door to everything that's available in the distress tolerance module. In DBT, we work from the belief that there are 10 core emotional experiences, and it's important that we explore our understanding for each of them, as this will assist us in building awareness for what's causing our emotional distress. Each of these core emotions is basically an umbrella term under which there are a number of different emotions and feelings that can activate behavioral responses in our system. These 10 core emotional experiences do three things. They send a signal to our environment that something's going on. They send a signal to our own system that we need to do something in response to this emotional experience, which then activates a response to help us cope. Sometimes these responses are innate. They come from what's known as our primal brain, and sometimes they're a learned behavior that we've picked up along the way as a result of what we witnessed in the environment or what's worked for us in the past. From a DBT perspective, none of these responses are considered to be good or bad, right or wrong. The question is whether they are effective in what it is that we're trying to achieve. Do they help us to live the life we want to live according to our true core values and beliefs, or do they keep us stuck in old behaviours, repeating the same thing over and over again, then wondering why nothing's changing? Building awareness for what emotions we're working with is an important place to start, so knowing what these emotional experiences are is obviously important too. When I first started doing this work, I was often asked to identify my feelings, and to be honest, at that time in my life, I had little to no awareness for what it was I was actually going through. This was because I was usually either feeling pissed off and angry, or I was okay. I had to understand that there were other emotions in my system so I could start to identify what they looked like for me in my behavioural responses. Let's take a look at a list of the 10 core emotional experiences we identify in DBT. As always, if you search around on the internet, you're going to find other examples of core emotions, none of which are right or wrong, good or bad. Remember, there's no one theory that works for everyone. This is the DBT approach that I use for myself and all of my clients, as I find it extremely effective to understand what's happening in my own system from this particular point of view. So let's take a look at what the 10 core emotional experiences actually are. Understanding and developing new ways to activate our effective emotional responses starts with understanding what emotion we're actually responding to in the first place. We do this over time by building our cognitive and emotional awareness when we aren't emotionally activated, so we can practice implementing the skills we need when we are emotionally activated. Using skills like mindful journaling and the practice of one mindfulness helps to build this awareness, but please remember, this takes time. There is no quick fix for an emotionally sensitive system. In the beginning, our awareness is usually gained in hindsight of an emotionally reactive situation, which the DBT mindfulness skills teach us not to judge. Using the self-analysis skills of DBT helps us move this awareness towards being in the moment, which is the ultimate goal that we're all trying to reach. However, before we can think about getting there, developing a solid foundation for change that's grounded in the skills of mindfulness and distress tolerance is where everything must begin. In the future, we will begin to explore some of the myths that we hold on to in our schemas about our ability to handle these emotional experiences, or what it is that we're supposed to do when we have them. For now, take some time to go over the list of the 10 core emotional experiences and see if you can identify which of them causes problems in your own emotional system. If you can't right now, don't worry, that's completely okay. We're going to build this awareness as we go through the different skills of dialectical behavior therapy, and in particular the skills of mindfulness and distress tolerance. In the PDF at the bottom of the page that's attached to this video, you're going to find a handout that you can download that will give you the opportunity to work through your identification of these emotional experiences. And if you take a look around my YouTube channel or go through the pages of my website, you're going to find a lot more videos and handouts that expand on this and many other subjects associated with changing behaviors, and in particular the skills of dialectical behavior therapy. If you want to know more, come join our live online conversations every week. I'll drop some links in the description below. And as always, if you like the content of this video, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment and smash that like button. Turn on those notifications for all the latest from me and the Liberation Place. I hope this video gave you some insight for how you can actually start to identify your emotional experiences. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Take care, be safe and be well.